No, just the ones out in the kennel.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I'm where I deserve.
Rolled a 2.
2.
Luckily, we're not doing anything until you, so.
Okay. So, Seeker, you've won initiative. What are you doing first?
Yeah, I'm waiting for Gus.
Okay. Alex.
Dodge.
Florian shouldn't be here. Gus.
I'm going to cast Protection from Stuff on him.
So go ahead and make its hit roll.
That is a 20 plus whatever stat modifier you want me to use. So if it's strength, it's 24.
It's strength, because you're,
Okay, 24.
you're trying to get hands on him. Okay. And he's startled. And says he spins around and you discharge the spell. And he kind of stammers, what are you? I wasn't doing. What have you? What was that? And he starts, like, he feels that something has been discharged into him. Magic has a sensation to it. And you've definitely rustled his jimmies some. Moving or staying put?
I'm going to back up and kind of block the doorway.
Okay. Seeker, what are you doing? First of all, are you inside or outside of the room?
I'm outside of the room.
Gus is inside. What about Alex?
Inside the kennel with Scrappy.
Okay. Seeker, your turn.
I'm just gonna watch and see what happens. I'm holding an action that if I see it start to go, I'm booking like I did last time.
Seeker, you're watching, and for some reason, Gus steps away from the boy, but then steps back to the boy, reaches out, and puts his hand on him. And you're like, why is Gus doing this? Then you realize you're not watching an action, you're watching the action reverse. As Gus steps forward, puts his hand out, and makes all the motions. You see him, the invisibility come back, and it vanishes. The boy turns back around.
Yeah, that one didn't work. I'm out. Good luck with this one, guys.
And before a few moments pass, all of you find yourselves rewinding to a minute or so before, just before you've entered the kennel.
Are we still invisible?
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's go.
Gus,
It's
your
not
spell has been discharged though. Protection from evil and good.
Yeah. Dang it. I was hoping that would work since it was not an attack spell.
What's next? Are you guys hanging outside here, or going back inside, or doing what?
I'm just going to.
Alex is going to walk into the entryway, the antechamber of the house, light a cigarette, and lean up against the wall and just wait.
Okay.
I'm going to go to the back of the house. Like, since he's at the front, I'm
You
just
say
going to go
back of that, back here. Okay.
Yeah, just kind of at this corner right here, just to kind of see.
Just a reminder, there's no back doors or anything here.
Right.
Okay.
I know. But it's been busting in and out of windows. So, I mean, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna hide around the corner outside.
Lucius, are you sleeping tonight?
No.
No? Then once again, Aylesbury does not leave your room, but Nellie does sneak in. Once again.
Aylesbury there. What a freak.
Same thing as last night?
Instead of outright rejecting her this time,
Mm-hmm.
based on what the others had told me about the previous loop, that she died right after, presumably she came here. Lucius is going to. He's not going to get frisky or anything like that, but he is going to. He's going to stay.
Listen, man, what happens in the time loop stays in the time loop.
It's just not who he is.
That's technically true.
It's just not. It's not part of his nature to do that kind of thing. So he's going to
talk to her about Jesus.
He's going to politely occupy her time.
With what? Conversation?
Yes.
Okay. Make a
Because
charisma
worst
check.
comes to worst. Because worst comes to worst. Other boy wakes up and then she looks really embarrassed. But either case, she stays in here for a few minutes longer.
Make a charisma check.
Brick Road.
What?
So I'm rolling an advantage because I'm a dum dum.
Can I have a held action at the ready?
No, because you're not in combat.
Okay.
Ready is an action you specifically take on initiative. I allow NPCs to hold actions out of combat because I know from experience that if I don't, that combat just breaks if I have a hidden NPC somewhere.
Okay.
12.
12. It doesn't take much to coax her down from the physicality of your encounter, and you begin engrossing her with charismatic anecdotes. I almost said antidotes, which would actually feel strangely appropriate. But you only are speaking with her for a few minutes when you hear a terrible scream from outside. And she immediately looks over with concern, and Aylesbury darts up in his bed.
Point the two of them back, and then poke my head outside.
Looking outside, you see that part of the railing on the side of the house has been broken. There's wooden railing around the banister here.
Inward or outward?
Outward.
Lucius runs around inside the thing, looking for anything that might be amiss.
And as soon as you come into the door, you hear another... Actually, you hear a pair of very womanly screams from behind the door you just entered from.
Lucius slaps himself in the forehead, turns around, and looks to see the two dead bodies in here, right?
When you look back, you see that Nellie is plastered herself up against the wall, looking like she's just seen a ghost. Her hands are clasped over her mouth, and her eyes are bugging out. Aylesbury has fainted and is just laying on the ground, and you can tell that he's pooped himself.
You just wanted to make sure that I get the detail that he's pooped himself in somewhere, right?
It's very important that you know the current status of Aylesbury's bowels, yes.
Okay,
It's
excellent.
important info
Then
for the time loop.
we're going to carry that forward to the next time loop if Lucius is able to pass that on to the others.
Florian,
Yes.
you're upstairs for some reason?
Yeah, for some reason.
How do you respond to the screams downstairs? Disappointment. Are you disappointed that you weren't chosen?
No, Florian holds his ground.
Okay.
Very much not been attacked yet.
Those of you who are outside still. So Gus came back around the back of the house here. Is that correct? Where did
Correct.
Seeker and Alex go?
Alex is just standing in the entryway to the house, smoking a cigarette, waiting.
That's right. Where's Seeker?
When I hear the scream, I'll head. Oh, I'm where I am on the map. But when I hear the scream, I'll start heading
Which
towards
is-
the front door.
Where are you on the map?
Right here, bottom right of the
Okay.
corner.
Gus, what's your passive perception? -5.
Six.
6. Okay. Seeker, what's your passive perception? Just normal.
Is 10, but this time my familiar's with me,
Okay.
so his is 15.
Is that sight or hearing?
That's both. If it's smell, it's 20.
That's not smell. Would smell be appropriate here? No, not from the floor above. So you also hear the scream from your position because you're closest to it. But a moment after the scream, you hear the loud thud of a body hitting the ground on the side of the house.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check on it.
Damn it.
And this time, it's the dwarven woman, Jimna, laying on the ground, badly stabbed.
Weird.
All right. I'm gonna look at Seeker. I peek around the corner and I meet Seeker's eye and I say, "All right, next loop we tie everybody up and we put them in a room and we sit on them."
Next loop, we're killing this thing.
Seems to be never mind, Florian.
And you guys are sure the sun does itself?
Shrug, big shrug.
Are we
It's not a
doing
big
anything else this loop?
Alex is going to do what he can with Aylesbury to try and put her body at rest somewhere in the house or in the graveyard, whichever.
When you get Aylesbury awake again, he absolutely wants nothing to do with this body. He is completely freaked. Not as badly as the first loop when the creature came near him.
Yeah, no, then he'll... Or not Aylesbury, what's Jim's husband's name?
Amner.
Amner, sorry.
Okay. So here's what happens then, if nothing else is going to change in the loop, is Alex and Amner bring the body inside, and there are some immediate preparation rituals that can be done, washing the body. The wounds are to be bound and dressed, because he's insisting that she must have fallen in battle, technically speaking, if she fought this creature back at all. However, Toriath returns to the house. And Biscuits returns to the house, and it's the same old tired problem of Biscuits blurting out that there's a hidden goblet on the premises, and suddenly Amner knows who kills his wife. He's more charged up than usual on this loop, and he immediately starts stomping back to his room.
Is her arm burned?
She doesn't wear armor.
Arm burned.
Oh, yes, you can see the burn on her arm when she looks at it. And when you inquire about it, Amner comes clean and says she was doing some research in her room, and her alembic, the flame under it got too hot, she couldn't cool it down properly, and it burned the side of her arm. That's why she was out of her room. She was going to hold her arm under the rain coming off the roof of the house to try to cool it some.
What are the floors of the house made from? And here's the reason why I'm asking the question. Is because I'm checking to see if I can send a message to the goblin through the floor of the house without everyone else noticing.
Made of styrofoam.
Styrofoam? Oh god, what does styrofoam count as? Oh, it's not in the list. Just goes right through.
What is on the list?
A foot of stone will stop it, an inch of metal, a thin sheet of lead, or 3 feet of wood.
It says it doesn't have to follow a straight line. It can travel freely around openings. So 3 feet of wood going through 3 floors would stop it. But you can send them. You have line of effect outside, and from there you're only going through 1 floor of wood. So I would say you can send the message from pretty much anywhere in the house.
Yep. Then as soon as I'm kind of out of sight, because other than that they're not going to hear me, I send the message saying, somebody is coming down into the basement now to take you out. I recommend running.
Can the message be received by somebody who's unconscious?
I don't know.
It just says they hear the message and can reply in a whisper only you can hear.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume the message can't be received by somebody who's unconscious, because an unconscious person wouldn't be able to hear or reply to anything.
That sounds fine.
So the message, you send it out, and you're sure the spell was cast properly, but you also know that this goblin sleeps in a barrel in the basement.
All right, then yeah, I'm not going to warn it until stuff starts getting real loud. Hopefully we can get Amner to shout before going downstairs.
How freaked out is Vladislav?
You guys just ghosted him all day, correct?
Yeah.
Vladislav seems... make an insight check. Actually, make this an advantage. Make this an advantage, because Florian watched this on the first loop.
That's specifically why I am asking. All right, that is an 18.
So the first loop, Vladislav took up Amner's cause against the goblin, and he seems legitimately perturbed by this murder. And knowing what you know now, having gone through 2 loops since, you can understand why. Because he needs his meeting with you guys to go smoothly, and a murder in the house, he's convinced that you'll be convinced that he did it. And he needs that to not happen. So whether this goblin did it or not is not really material to him. It's a useful scapegoat, and what's one goblin anyway? It's going to require some kind of subdual to bring Amner down off of his bloodlust. He just watched his wife be murdered, and now there's a goblin on the premises. You're not going to be able to talk him down tonight, is what I mean.
When Amner goes upstairs, Lucius attempts to slip downstairs and rouse the goblin.
Okay, is Lucius going alone?
He's not gonna. This is kind of a spur of the moment thing. Yeah, Lucius will be alone.
Okay. So everybody else is arguing on either the first or second floor. I mean, Mrs. Bobkin is tending to Nellie and Aylesbury, getting them sat down and calmed down. She's put a kettle on. There's a lot of argument. Mordecai is doing the bulk of the work, trying to stand in Amner's way. And Lucius slips out, goes downstairs, finds the goblin's barrel. And what do you tell this goblin?
I'm going to cast the fly spell on him. I'm going to say, they're going to kill you if you don't run now.
Make a persuasion check.
Hang on. 28.
Okay. So you basically, there's no time to explain, put a fly spell on him, and he did not get to be to goblin old age by not taking good advice.
Yep.
And by the time he slips out, you come back upstairs. Amner has, backed up by Vladislav, has muscled his way forward, and the storm is raging around you. Lucius, roll initiative. Don't have to roll high.
I did anyway. It's a 20. Or no, 15, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't know how to math.
What's your excuse for why the goblin's not downstairs?
My excuse for why the goblin is not downstairs is that it does not matter what's going to happen. We're all going to wake up to this tomorrow, and nothing is going to have changed.
Okay. Amner tells you he's coming to get the goblin, whether he has to go through you or not.
Unless you can fly, you're not going to be able to catch him.
He does leap towards you, and he has this little hand axe in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 15 to hit you.
That'll hit.
That'll hit. And he buries his axe in your chest. You're standing at the top of these stairs. And just as he does, the lightning around the house begins to intensify. Let's get that wisdom saving throw, and let's have Lucius and Alex make it at disadvantage.
Seven.
13 from Gus.
14.
Sorry, one sec. My mouse cursor's all messed up.
Okay.
That is a 21. I'm gonna leave the server and come back.
Okay. And what did Alex get? Did we lose Alex?
18 on Alex. Lucius, go ahead and add a +5.
Okay, then make that a 12.
Is 12 still the lowest? I think 12 is still the lowest. Lucius. Not only do you wake up the next day with no memory of previous loops, but you are now mentally and emotionally predisposed to not believing any crazy story about time loops you may or may not be stuck in.
Okay.
You now have kind of an embedded interest in this reality that you're stuck in, and it's very difficult for you to do things that you didn't already do on previous loops.
Okay.
And this is going to be... That's the closing of the 5th loop, yes?
Yes.
And waking up the next morning, or the same morning, as the case may be.
And Alex doesn't remember anything, right?
Alex doesn't remember anything?
Okay.
Everybody... Are we doing the same thing as we did yesterday? Going down to breakfast and then bringing the other two up to speed?
Yeah.
Well, I hope they have a decent coffee, Gus.
Gus is going to spend a few minutes
I cannot
before we go down.
believe that he won't let me smoke inside the house. Okay, have you seen the weather out there? It's atrocious.
I'm going to give I'm going to give Alex the 100-word summary. This before we go down for breakfast.
Oh.
And just tell him yeah.
Did you tell him the thing that I told you to tell me on the next loop?
Yes. I'd be like, you also said that we've got like what? I forgot exactly what you said. Like we've got we've got to do it this loop or
We
we're
have to do
boned.
it this loop, yeah. Or we're boned.
So it's
And
going
I
to
said,
require one of
That
you
sounds like
can make
that's the way I would say it. You're right.
one of you make a persuasion check, contesting Lucius's wisdom check.
The
In
one
order-
he made or just another one?
No,
Who has the highest persuasion in this party?
Lucius.
Lucius does.
Besides Lucius.
I have a +2.
I have a
I have a
plus
plus
3.
Oh, I have minus
Okay,
two.
take
You
the
have to- You have
plus
to beat an
or
11.
what's- oh, damn it, Lucius. Okay, then take a 20. Person with +3.
Okay, 23.
Okay. And what did Lucius get on his check?
11.
Okay. So they explain it, and it doesn't make any sense. But at the end, you find their arguments as persuasive as you would have on previous days.
Okay. All right. So let's say for the sake of the argument that everything you said to me is true. What do we do about it?
We get in touch with the Warlock who's on his way here. We show him the thing.
Yeah,
What-
we show him.
Yeah,
I might have
And
to
I'll-
let you take the lead on this one, Seeker.
Yeah, and Seeker will kind of describe it to everyone just in case something happens to me. Which it shouldn't. But
I mean, unless
And we just immediately start casting that on the kid.
so here's the way that it was described is that we need to cast it on the creature. That makes me think we need to wait until night. Now, I do have one idea for something that we could try, but I'm not certain about it. Yesterday you had an idea, Gus, to cast Protect from Evil and Good on the creature. And the creature did not like that. It reversed time entirely. What if we cast that cantrip on the kid and then Protection from Evil and Good in it for like the next X minutes? Maybe that would be enough?
Just use all my spell slots on
Well,
protection.
no, it only has to last for 10 minutes, right?
Oh, I mean, yeah, but I can.
The cantrip you can cast as many times as you need.
Right.
So you cast it on the kid 5 minutes beforehand like last time, only this time we're using that cantrip.
And to be
Yeah.
clear,
What we have to do is convince. You said he has a green hat, the guy from the sewers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did.
yeah,
I remember that
he
much.
he's still the only one that can cast it.
Yes. There's, as far as I can tell, there's no way we're getting around that.
Yeah.
Okay, then, so we have to convince him that it's in his best interest to do this.
The only other thing I've been noticed is that the person who has been murdered has only been murdered once. So Alex has only been murdered once. I've only been murdered once. Vladislav has only been murdered once. His wife has only been murdered once
That we know of.
that we know of. And who am I missing? Because it's been 5 loops.
Nelly.
Nelly has been murdered once.
Although that was kind of Lucius's fault.
The only
So-
problem is that we probably don't have enough loops to see if this creature will actually try to kill everyone individually once, and I don't know what information that gets us.
I think there's a great chance of us all getting murdered tonight. If we're casting this spell and then attempting to take on the creature. So why don't we just consider it we'll see it if it comes up.
Look, all I know, I said we got to do it tonight, so let's do it.
So we have one. This is like a question for Alex. Tom Wolf has a set of sending stones, correct?
Yeah.
That we can reach into. Send him a sending and ask him what the date is.
Sure. And I will use Tom's sending stone and say, "Hey, Tom, not to alarm you or anything, but what's the current date?"
His response is delayed a little bit.
Mhm.
Not by much, maybe 20 minutes or so. And it simply says, by Dunfoss calendar, it would be Feast Day, the 15th of Ulanter, which is indeed the day that you are, would be the day that you... I'm sorry, not the 15th, the 16th. The 15th, after midnight, you arrived at the house. So when you woke up the day of the loop, it would have been the 16th.
Well, that's
Gus,
good news.
Gus lets out a sigh of relief and go, that's good and bad news. Good news that we're not 1,000 years in the future. Bad news, because if we were 1,000 years in the future, we wouldn't have to deal with the pawns anymore.
So is anything happening different in the loop up until Vladislav arrives today?
I don't think so.
Where do we want to actually speak to him? Like, do we want to try to get him on the road where it's open and he, or what? Or do we want to try and, like, he seemed a little more receptive when we didn't have our weapons.
I
Obviously.
am going to interpose on Nelly and try and make lunch.
Okay.
Because we told you lunch was bad?
Yeah.
I'm going to try... I'm going to give my familiar to the kid again to try to buy us some time tonight.
Okay. Alex, no matter how hard you try, she's just not going to flirt with a gnome.
Okay. You know, I heard Lucius needed help with something up in his room. If you, I can handle that shopping. If you wanted to go, I'm sure he could use your help.
She flushes red at the suggestion and says, "I better see to my tasks."
No, don't worry about it. I'm great with this kind of stuff.
Everybody eats, like, it's just like burnt hash browns for dinner.
Keeps looking
It's
over
so
her
bad.
shoulders. What's your passive insight?
10.
10? Even with a 10, as much as she would like to, if Mordecai catches her, she'll be in trouble.
Okay.
She has to wait till after he's asleep. Can Alex even cook?
He can't not cook. Like, it's not great, but
It's alchemy and cooking are almost the
yeah,
same
like
thing.
he can follow a recipe. He can totally follow a recipe. He can. Yeah, I'd say Alex is like not the best cook in the group, probably, but he's definitely not the worst.
So the
So, like-
recipe you're trying to follow, have you ever read a recipe from somebody who just intuitively knows how to cook?
Yeah, my
And it's
mom's like that.
impossible? That's Mrs. Bobkin's recipes.
Okay. I still think Alex can do better than Nelly has been described as doing over the past couple of loops.
Where part of the recipe just says add salt, that's it.
Yeah. No,
Add
I-
salt to taste. Oh, I hate that.
Not even to taste, just add salt.
Yeah.
Okay. Lunch is marginally better today. And slightly more alchemical than usual. And
It's like, do I?
Vladislav is set to arrive shortly after lunch. Where are we meeting him?
I think we should do a similar setup to what we did last time, because that seemed to work pretty well.
Just out by the
thought?
gate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just like kind of do the same exact steps, because that's proven to work.
And the same exact thing happens. Seeker goes out on the balcony. They send messages back and forth. He piques his interest enough. He's very suspicious and skeptical, but in the end, he comes around to the side or to the back of the house and enters the kennels.
Real quick before he shows up, everybody, let's try not to give him, like, make him feel like he has the upper hand.
Also, I guess since according to me this should be the last loop, don't give him any information we don't want him to have in the real timeline.
Yep, I think we just tell him that he needs to cast this spell on the creature. If the kid dies before the spell is cast, the creature will burst forth and will all likely die again.
Yeah, we'll tell him. Hey, why don't we tell him this is like a plot from Skada, and we have, like, because we had allied together, she trapped us in this loop. I'll
Sounds
let
good to
somebody
me.
who's way better at lying than I am to do that, though.
So who's gonna tell this fib?
Oh, this is not a fib. This is just straight up bald face lie.
I have a +5 to deception, if that's the case.
Probably you then. Unless we can find some way to make this an int deception roll. It sounds like it's you.
Lucius, make a deception check.
Lucius, go ahead and take +5 on that.
26.
26. So the story
Silver
is
tongue.
that this monster and Skada have teamed up. Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
Mhm,
Somehow
yeah.
the Skada has sicked the monster on us, yeah.
He seems to be terrified of Skada, so
Where do you tell him the cantrip came from?
I mean, we've told him the time loop exists, right?
Right, but did you tell him that he had the cantrip? Like he's the one who got
Just
it?
He himself did this.
Let's tell him that... Well, no, let's not tell him that. Let's tell him that Mephistopheles gave it to us.
Is that what you tell him? I'm asking Lucius because Lucius is the one who's doing the lying.
I'm
Yeah.
not certain as to what that gains us, but yeah, sure, okay.
Look, he looks over it. He's very confused. It's like, what I fail to understand is why Mephistopheles would hand you magic that can only be wielded by a human. Why not give you a cantrip that you can use yourself?
Mephistopheles is an asshole.
Some demon plot or devil plot? I don't know.
He seems very troubled by this.
So that's why. It doesn't really, but no peer pressure. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the peer pressure.
What?
What else do you tell him? Because you guys are being specific about what information you want him to have.
I want to tell him that if the kid dies, then the monster's going to burst free. Because otherwise, I think his answer is going to be, well, why don't we just kill the kid?
He says that's a terrible shame because this would be much easier if you could just kill the kid.
Well, I don't think we could kill the kid anyway because anytime we have tried, we tried to previously do something to the kid, and it just rewound time.
Yeah.
He tells you he doesn't know much about temporal creatures, and if circumstances were different, he would take the afternoon and commune with his patron. However,
Lucius gestures to the paper that Seeker has and says, "Luckily, another you already did that."
and he holds the schematic up. He says, "But you said that this knowledge came to you from Mephistopheles."
Foolish slip of the tongue.
You're saying that I came up with this,
You did.
that I've already communed with Aednoth.
You have.
That was very clever of me. And then he grins, says, "I see. Because in that reality, I could then simply leverage the spell against you, tell you that I wasn't going to cast it, and go forward in that reality."
Oh god, is this what you guys have been putting up with for 5 loops? I'm sorry.
And he goes through all the same reasoning. He would have been able to make his peace with Aednoth without owing you anything, wish you the best of luck, and take his chances. But this way, the magic is my hands, and Aednoth is none the wiser.
Yeah, exactly.
And the way I see it, if I assist you with this and cast this cantrip and help you to destroy this creature, you'll owe me a favor.
Depends on the way you see it, I guess. Would you rather be dead?
He says if he wanted to be dead, all he would have to do is have stayed in Dunfoss.
Let's be
According to-
clear. There's no favor involved here. We are breaking you free from this time loop. You keep forgetting that we keep going through this over and over and over again.
And you've died at least once.
Yes. No, there is no favor to be had here. There is a mutual benefit.
That we have the information, you have the capability of casting the spell.
So if I don't cast the spell, the monster is going to kill somebody tonight, and tomorrow we'll all wake up again right where we woke up this morning.
The understanding we got from another version of you is that those of us who are passing forward in these time loops will pass forward to the next dimension. Those who are not will stay behind. So the way that it would work is us in this house, except for you, would all pass to the next thing. You'd be dead still because the monster would have killed you. And another you would come along tomorrow.
Yeah, past you is the previous yous have been very callous towards the future yous.
He says the previous him had advantages that he does not. So the only leverage I have is whether to agree to cast the spell. If I don't agree to cast it, I run the risk of dying tonight. But if I don't die...
Or sooner.
Or what?
Sooner.
I can promise you, and I'm gonna like cross my arms, like Gus is gonna cross his arms. I can promise you that if we can break this time loop, that that I will not let anybody hurt you for the period of your pitch, and then assuming we do not come to terms, I will hold them back for 1 hour. Give you 1 hour head start, assuming we don't come to terms.
He laughs and says, if we don't come to terms, I won't be assisting you with the spell.
We don't have time to come to terms.
Oh, you guys have all day. This is shortly after lunch. I mean, he hasn't even entered the house yet. So you have a good 9-10 hours.
Like, one of the things is like, we don't even know what your terms are because you constantly refuse to tell us.
Well, he always tells you he'll tell you tomorrow.
Right.
Those are on the days where you don't kill him or ghost him. He agrees to tell you what he was planning to tell you tomorrow. His plan was to come to the house, make himself, like, endear himself to the rest of the house, so none of you could just jump him in the middle of the day.
Right. In a state.
Right.
Get into a position where you all would have to rely on his word to stay in their good graces, and then explain to you why he's followed you. He doesn't even have that advantage today.
No.
Just bear with me just 1 second, because I do have to look up an NPC's name.
Craig, NPC.
Craig Npick.
Pronounced Nipuk.
This is why I name all my NPCs NPC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So he tells you that he's going to give you information up front about the Flying Pig's other 2 lieutenants, the ones left behind in Dunfoss, why he's on the outs with them, and why if you don't agree to help him remove them both, it's going to be worse for you in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
He gives you a name, Oresto Loftermoss.
That's a name.
Oresto is very highly placed in the Black Jackets. He has several lead inspectors who report directly to him. This is how the Flying Pig was able to keep the Black Jackets from, like, leaving him alone for so long, until you all muscled your way down into their hiding place.
As we do.
It's also why you all have had so little luck getting anything done with the Black Jackets throughout the investigation. And if not for Flumph Inc. Endearing themselves to Inspector Giorgio, it's very likely Seeker would not have been able to leave Dunfoss alive after his arrest. Scotta and Oresto had grand designs on what to do in Dunfoss as a result of the Flying Pig expanding his power. Vladislav, at least his claim, is he's much more similar to Lucius. He's really only interested in himself and what power he can be granted personally. In fact, once he kind of earned his stripes a little bit and realized that this Warlock ability didn't come without a lot of chains, he sort of regretted his decision. There were other avenues he should have chosen instead. He would much rather, now that the Flying Pig is at least physically out of the picture, he would much rather be rid of Scotta and Oresto. That's going to be impossible as long as he's in Dunfoss. They knew about, treachery is the wrong word, but they knew about his misgivings. They knew about his preferred plans. They know he doesn't care much about Dunfoss. They're planning to just take him out of the picture. Not only that, but because he was the last one to have direct interactions with you lot before the Flying Pig got shot, it turns out that Aednoth blames him partially for his banishment. Don't get me wrong, he says. He blames this one much more, and he points to Alexander.
Who's just kind of idly, working on the mechanism of his musket right now.
Enemy
we've
of
already-
my enemy, huh?
He
We've already
tells,
pissed off a dragon, so...
if he didn't already have this schematic in his hand, what he would do would be to commune with the flying pig and use this information that you guys are being tormented by a temporal fiend of some kind to get back in his good graces. And he presumes that's what a previous Vladislav has done.
Said those exact same words.
So, if he will only agree to help you with your temporal beasts by going into battle with you and casting this cantrip every round. Specifically, what it will do is its ability to rewind time can be used as a reaction, and every time it rewinds time and goes back to its own turn and initiative, it gets its reaction back. It makes the rewind flawless. The cantrip prevents him from doing that for 1 round. So Vladislav has to be up and casting the cantrip every round. And if the beast realizes he's the one doing it, he'll be the primary target. And he knows this. So at great personal risk to himself, he'll agree to do this if, when you return to Dunfoss, you use what you now know about Skada and Arresto to remove them from power.
I mean, I think that was pretty much inevitable, assuming you haven't lied to us and we can verify it.
Yeah.
To be clear, he doesn't think you can do this without his help. He knows things that can be used against them.
So here's how demented Florian's brain has become through all these time loops. He's kind of warming to Vladislav.
You just can't hate the guy, right?
He's grown accustomed to his face.
Too many time loops has really done it to him, but yeah.
Don't worry, McDohl. Lucius will still hate him for you.
Oh, and Alex.
Yeah, and like his stupid punchable face. But like, I think that Gus is okay as long as he, like, if he's, it's a self-serving thing, but it would be like, you know, it would leave the world a better place to kill or do something about Skada and Arresto. By the way, naming a police officer of some kind Arresto Brick Road.
Oh, Resto. Oh, Resto. With an O.
I'm with Gus on this one.
Arresto sounds like a Futurama, like, robot police.
He works with Earl.
Arresto and Earl.
But like, if we could do that, and then like Gus could, like, you know, possibly like let him live after that.
Oh, he needs a unanimous decision from all of Flumph Inc. that you're going to agree to these terms.
I agree. I have no problem with it because, you know, if we don't agree, then we're kind of screwed.
Plus, Gus is also really, really gullible. It's kind of gullible, and he just kind of he took the whole like I'm just like Lucius thing, and then he was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I could see Lucius doing something like evil like that if he was forced to.
Wow.
Glad you have such confidence in me.
Only if you were forced to.
Yeah. So,
sure, let's do it.
Yeah, no,
That's Alex's complete exact.
What's the agreement you wanted? You wanted us to make sure to kill those people when we get back? Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that we were going to do that anyway.
Right, but he's telling you that you're not going to be able to without some things that he knows.
I'm sure he believes that.
Okay.
That's why that's the complete and exact response from Alex. Sure, let's do it.
So he asks you what the plan is.
I think we lure the kid to the stables again last night, like he was last night.
Yeah.
We cast the cantrip on him until he turns, and then we kill the creature. If you have anything that you could use to prepare the battlefield ahead of time before you have to start casting this cantrip over and over, it would come in handy.
He has roughly the same I mean, he has slightly better because he's a little higher level than you guys, but he has roughly the same kind of capabilities as Lucius does.
Oh. So he has 3 spell slots, probably.
Probably. And a Rod of the Pack Keeper.
Yeah.
And the ability to cast Finger of Death. So the rest of the day is going according to plan, and then tonight, after the boy sneaks out, you guys are all going to go down to the kennels?
I think we'll go out there before he sneaks out and be waiting for him.
Okay. Are we doing invisibility or any kind of nonsense like that?
Yeah. Alex, incredibly salty about this. Hands Vladislav a platinum ring. Tells him to put it on.
It's not that I don't trust you, Alexander, and your motives, but what exactly is this trinket going to do?
It's going to take half of your any damage dealt to you and deal it to me. And he taps an identical ring on his left hand.
He seems impressed at your level of sacrifice. And he slips the ring on, and he kind of admires it for a moment.
Alex speaks the magic words and sprinkles a bit of dust over both rings, and that's a warding bond for 1 hour.
Okay. He asks you, after the magic in this ring is spent, whether or not the metal will remain.
Yeah, and I need it back.
Oh, that's a shame. It's quite a pretty thing. Does everybody have invisibility?
Yeah, let's parcel out these spell slots. So how many people are we working with here?
6.
Like 6.
6?
I can do 1 invisibility for myself. The warding bond isn't concentration, but I'd rather...
I have to
Save
step away for 2 more minutes. I'll be right back.
I think
You have
Alex.
invisibility, right?
I have
Florian?
invisibility. Yeah.
Do you have any 3rd or 4th level spells that you think would be useful in this combat?
I have haste.
Do you want to... Is that 4th or 3rd?
Oh, actually, you know what? No, I'm getting... I
don't
am
have
using
fourth level
a
spells.
concentration slot.
Oh,
Gus?
Mhm.
What's your favorite weapon?
why not?
Oh, I'm going to be using my cutlass.
Oh, it's
Plus
already a
one.
magic weapon, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's already a magic weapon. So,
Nobody else uses weapons, so... Okay.
can you do my armor?
No, I only have magic weapon. There's no magic
Oh,
armor.
right. All right. Yeah.
Gus, would you like to be big?
I think we're in a kennel.
Okay. All right. Well, then everyone go ahead and let's
But
see.
you could do it after the combat.
I'm gonna pop off 2 aids. So that's 6 of us. That's all of us. We get 5 additional temp and max HP. We get 5 additional hit points and max HP.
I'm going to cast at the 10-minute warning. I'm going to at the 5-minute warning. I'm going to cast. Oh no, I'm going to cast it on the boy, aren't I? Protection. Am I still doing protection from evil good on the boy?
Disappear and the creature will show up.
I don't think that'll work. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, everyone will take 5 extra hit points, including Vladislav for aids.
All right. Sorry about that.
That's fine. And that's 10 hit points?
Oh, no, that's just maximum and current hit points for 8 hours.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and roll some initiative, if you guys got a plan in place. So what magics are in place before things kick off? Vladislav has a warding bond.
He also has 5 maximum and temporary hit points from aid, as does everyone else in the group.
Okay, let me go ahead and mark those down.
So it increases our hit points by 5, and then on top of that gives us 5 temp hit points.
No,
Okay.
not temp. They're just your maximum and current both go up by 5 for 8 hours.
Okay. All right. Cool.
You're doing invisibility on yourself, Alex?
That's all my slots.
Okay. So wait, was that a yes or a no?
That's a no. I'm out of slots. I use the warding bond of the aid.
All right. Who wants an invisibility?
I'll take it.
I'll take one. I mean, I don't think invisibility is that important for me. If you want to save slots, like the jig is going to be up pretty fast, and as soon as I fire my
Yeah,
gun,
I mean that's what I'm thinking. Like, do everyone really want invisibility?
Yeah, we could just hide in the other thing, right?
Yeah.
We could, unless we're we want to try and save the kittens.
well, we're going to find Scrappy as always.
Okay, so we got warding bond on Vladislav.
Aid on
Invisibility.
everyone except for Scrappy.
Okay, invisibility who?
I think just just Vladislav because he needs to be close enough to start casting the cantrip.
Right.
Okay.
The rest of us can be around the corner and just burst in.
Okay.
And who's
Yeah.
going to be responsible for his invisibility?
So
I'll be responsible until the combat starts.
Okay.
I'll burn that one.
I want to go before we start combat. I do want to cast Blur on myself. It's only got a 1 minute duration though. So
What's Scrappy's AC?
Scrappy's AC is 15.
What's that from though?
AC.
natural armor.
Armor.
It's his natural armor, I think.
I'd have to let me look at the.
Frick, does that stack with mage armor?
No, mage armor replaces whatever your natural AC is.
Okay.
Natural armor.
I think it did in previous versions.
Maybe, but not in 5th edition.
Yep.
Okay.
I think there's a druid spell that would improve
Yeah, I'm
natural.
just mage armoring myself.
I think you might be thinking of bark skin.
So Vladislav is outside of the kennel, coming up behind the boy, and all of you are in the stall next to them, which would have been empty.
Mhm.
Okay. Is Scrappy in there, or isn't Scrappy in the third stall?
Scrappy is between the boy and the kittens. Scrappy's the bait.
The bait?
Yep.
He doesn't need to be baited in. This is just his normal action. He sneaks out of bed.
No,
and come out here.
I'm just joking. Like Scrappy,
Okay.
yeah, Scrappy is gonna be basically when he goes in there to play with kittens. Scrappy will be between him and the kittens.
Okay. Just thinking, like, they put together this great plan. Why are they ruining it by messing up the loop now?
We're trying to protect the kittens.
Okay, so Seeker, you see... Oh, no, you can't. You're around the corner.
Yep.
But you've won initiative. Almost.
Okay.
Here,
Just ignore the dogs.
Did we hear the last time when he started transforming? There was a noise, right?
You smelled something in the air,
Yeah.
but only because you were standing so near to him. Now you're around the corner and you've got a wooden...
Can my familiar smell it? It has
where's, your,
advantage on smell check
where's your familiar?
on my shoulder, so
On
it's
your
with
shoulder?
me.
So it's got a wall in between him and you, yes?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
So what are you doing?
I don't know. Does it seem like time?
I mean, you know it's the time because...
Okay, then. Okay, great. Then I'm going to cast. I'm going to hold greater invisibility,
Okay.
and when oh no, I'm not, because then I have to break my concentration. I'm just going to do nothing.
Okay. Alex.
Dodge.
What about
Yeah.
Scrappy?
Scrappy dodges.
Okay. And Vladislav casts the cantrip. And you hear an unearthly growl from the next stall over. And it sounds extremely angry. And Vladislav standing there, it's all right, Flumph Inc. Now it's time to use your violence. It's going to bring us to Florian.
Violence it is. Okay.
That fourth wall was broken. I love it.
Can I move out of the stall and see the creature?
Oh, yeah. And this creature... So imagine a badger standing on its hind legs, like a humanoid badger. No fur, just this slick gray skin. But it's flaking, like it's cracked in places. And the head and neck have completely retreated, like down into its shoulders. And it's got this horrible gaping maw that looks a little bit like a one of those cigarette snipper things. It looks like if this thing got a hold of one of your limbs, it could just snap it right off. And it has wicked, terrible claws. We're looking like 5d12 damage on these claws.
Okay.
So Vladislav and Scrappy are in front of you as you come around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And the creature looks abominably pissed off. But notably, you can make out its features.
That's a nice change of pace. Okay. Let's third level magic missile the hell out of it.
The hell out of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, let me roll magic missile first.
Okay. I will.
Thank you. I appreciate
No problem.
it. That is 5d. Oh. That's not
It's
terrible.
pretty good.
That's pretty good.
19 force damage.
Okay.
And as Florian utters the verbal component, he utters the name Norbert the Nimble using
Okay.
a resonant utterance, if that does anything.
Is your intention to damage the boy?
No.
Then you would need the true name of this creature.
Oh. Clever. Okay.
This creature isn't the nimble anything. Florian, moving or staying put?
Let's go back in the stall.
Step back in the stall. Okay.
All right. I gotta think about my next.
It's going to bring us to Lucius.
Lucius pops out and points the scepter for 2 Eldritch Blasts.
Okay.
I have. Ooh, that is a 13 to hit.
13 does not hit.
And then this nat 3 won't either.
Nope.
Do I want to do something shenanigans? You know what? For that second, hang on. Let me just check this feature that I've got here because I need to make sure that. Yeah, I'm gonna burn an extra D10. Mephistopheles is gonna lean on reality a little bit.
Okay. As you do.
Bye. Yep.
Throw it off the table.
13 is gonna turn into. It didn't do what it normally does.
Thanks, Devil Dad.
I mean, it did. It just over here. It was a
Shit.
6.
Seriously.
It was a
Dice
6 over
one.
here.
What did it turn into?
Turned into a 14.
14 is not going to hit.
I rolled a 1 on that D. That was great use of it.
That happens. Sometimes.
Lucius, moving or staying put?
Lucius pops back, and I'm really glad I didn't say anything because I was going to look really stupid. Because I was going to say time's up, but
Gus, save us.
Gus is going to run in there, and he is going to.
So there's not really space for Gus to stand because Scrappy is standing next to him, and the stalls. I mean, it's only big enough to hold a couple of dogs.
Right. So my understanding is so we'll say that the entire stall is maybe 5 foot
Yeah, just
wide, and then like Scrappy's on one side, the creature is, and then
the
Vladislav is in the way.
The creature's
I
in
wanna-
the stall. Scrappy
trying
is
to-
at the doorway of the stall. Vladislav is at the doorway to the kennel, about 5 feet away from Scrappy.
I am trying to get between Vladislav and the creature.
That you can do, because you can come in right behind Scrappy.
And I'm going to cast Blur on myself
Sure.
using a 2nd level spell slot.
Is that a concentration spell?
It is.
And what does that do?
All creature, your body becomes blurred, shifting and wavering to all who can see you. For the duration, any creature has disadvantage on attack rolls against you.
Okay.
An attacker is immune to this effect if it doesn't rely on sight, such as with blind sight, or can see through illusions, such as having true sight.
Okay. And is that where you're going to end your turn?
Yes.
Okay. Creature. What size is Scrappy? Medium?
Medium.
Okay. Scrappy hasn't done anything to him yet.
Scrappy would never.
And Scrappy's dodging.
Gus.
Yes.
Trying to determine if I would give Scrappy an attack opportunity here or not. I guess not, because he's not leaving Scrappy's threat range. He's just coming up and over him. But he can't land in Gus's space. He'd have to land next to Gus, but he'd still be within 5 feet of Scrappy. So he can do this without...
Good use of combat space. The monster's a credit to his field.
Gus.